Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're cracking open a vault of high-stakes operational secrets pulled directly from the Etisalat Academy training playbook. Out in the field, technical skills, that's really just the baseline. Knowing how to terminate a fiber connection or configure a switch is totally expected of you. But what actually keeps global networks online, or honestly brings them crashing down, is how you manage relationships, boundaries, and communication when the pressure is on. Seriously, one wrong word to a stressed customer or one unauthorized hardware tweak on a core router can cost millions of dollars or even trigger a massive cascading outage. So let's dive right into this playbook. Here's our roadmap for this survival guide. We're going to quickly hit 5 critical relationship domains: the boundary of design, avoiding dangerous customer promises, building a professional alliance with your supervisor, mastering the mentorship dynamic, and finally integrating with the NOC. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the boundary of design. Now, the very first boundary you have to respect as a field tech is understanding your place within the larger architecture. Network design is a highly complex top-down process, and it is so incredibly tempting to fall into what we call the architectural ego trap and start acting like a rogue designer. You're right there on the ground, you see an issue, and you figure bypassing a router, swapping out a hardware model, or hard-coding an IP will fix that specific site right up. But listen, those unauthorized tweaks, they are literal network time bombs. You simply don't have the big picture visibility of the network architects. Redundancy protocols and bandwidth allocations are calibrated for the entire city, not just the single server room you're standing in. So deciding to change a topology from a ring to a star might look cleaner to you today, but during the next system upgrade or automated failover, your local fix is absolutely going to cause a massive outage. So, instead of going rogue, your actual job is to act as a design consultant using the observation loop. First, document accurate field data. Maybe you notice a fiber path is looping weirdly and causing latency. Second, escalate that up the chain as a field improvement request. And step 3, you wait. Your true value to the organization is feeding high-fidelity intelligence from the ground back up to the engineering team, not making the final architectural call yourself. Moving right along to Section 2, no unapproved customer promises. This shifts our focus from the hardware to the actual human beings relying on the network, because out there, your words are treated as the company's binding contract. When you are standing face-to-face with a totally stressed-out customer, you absolutely must never commit to these 4 things: time guarantees, service upgrades, financial concessions, or off-the-cuff technical construction. Customers are absolutely going to try and corner you. They'll demand to know the exact minute the internet will be fixed, or if you can bump up their speed since they've been down all morning, or even if they can get this month for free. Saying yes just to get them to calm down creates a massive legal nightmare, and it instantly wrecks the company's trust the second you fail to deliver on that unapproved promise. To handle that kind of intense pressure without breaking the rules, you've got to completely pivot your mindset. Stop being an eager vendor and start acting like a professional consultant. A vendor just tries to hand over whatever the client demands. But if a client wants faster speeds, you don't say, "Sure, I'll do it." A consultant says, "I totally understand you need more bandwidth. Please contact your account manager who can authorize that upgrade." You aren't being difficult at all. You're just safely directing them to the actual team that has the authority and the system access to permanently solve their problem. Let's just pause for a second and run a quick drill. Imagine this. The primary fiber line is completely severed. The customer is standing right behind you, absolutely furious and demanding answers. And then your phone rings. It's your boss wanting a status update. How do you handle that? Can you give a calm 10-second summary, offer a clear next step, and ask for specific help, all while tuning out the shouting right behind you? Being able to shift into active problem-solving mode under that kind of extreme stress is exactly what separates the amateurs from the true professionals. Which brings us to Section 3, the professional alliance. When that phone rings, your supervisor isn't just an authority figure checking your timesheet. They are your primary lifeline out in the field. Building a predictable, transparent alliance with them comes down to a few core protocols. First, enforce a no-surprise policy with proactive reporting. If a mass displace is running 2 hours behind schedule, let them know way before the deadline hits. Second, bring options, not just problems. Don't just complain about a blocked conduit. Say, "I see 2 options here. Here's my recommendation. What do you think?" Third, respect the chain of command to maintain team unity. And finally, use the feedback loop. After a grueling install, actively ask how you could have been more efficient. That proves your critical thinking and directly accelerates your career growth. Now, within that alliance, you have 2 absolute, non-negotiable boundaries. First, don't ever hide mistakes. If you accidentally trip a breaker and take down a rack, own up to it immediately. Your supervisor can only fix what they know is broken, and covering it up just burns precious troubleshooting time. Second, never argue in public. If you strongly disagree with your boss's approach, keep it strictly private. In front of the customer, your team unity has to be rock solid. Okay, Section 4, the mentorship dynamic. So your supervisor is your lifeline, but your ultimate on-the-job cheat code? That's the senior technician. They hold all the deep institutional knowledge and historical fault patterns that are literally not written down in any manual anywhere. And there's a massive difference between staying a junior tech forever and actually leveling up. When you watch a senior tech work, don't just ask how they reset a specific line card. That's just mechanics. Ask why they chose to reset that specific card before checking the power supply or inspecting the physical cable. Grasping the how makes you a technician, but understanding the why, that's what elevates you into an engineer, because it reveals their entire diagnostic thought process. To soak up that priceless knowledge, follow the mentees protocol. Closely observe their hands and technical habits. Respect their space when they're deep in a complex command line interface. Knowing exactly when to just be quiet is a seriously underrated skill. Adopt a service-first attitude and anticipate what they need before they even ask for it. Grab the ladder, unspool the cable, hold the flashlight. Being a useful junior earns trust, and trust earns you more responsibility. And obviously, never ever show off or try to correct a senior tech in front of a customer. Protect their authority at all costs. Finally, we have Section 5, integrating with the NOC. The Network Operations Center is the true heartbeat of the entire system. You only have visibility into a single site, but they see the whole global picture. Because of that, the absolute law of the field is the pre-authorization check. Never hard reset a switch, pull a line card, or reboot a core device without explicit clearance to proceed from the NOC. Why? Because they might be right in the middle of a delicate remote BGP migration or a massive firmware upgrade that you can't even see. Bypassing them and rebooting locally could literally crash a citywide operation and drop thousands of active sessions. When you do communicate with the NOC, you have to remember they're managing hundreds of critical alarms simultaneously. They simply don't have time for vague, subjective feelings like the signal looks weird or the light is blinking fast. You must speak in precise, data-driven metrics. Tell them exactly how the RX power is fluctuating, like between -22 and -28 dBm. Giving them concrete data allows them to make instant, accurate diagnostic decisions to support you. And while you're deep in the trenches working on a fix, remember the 15-minute rule. Complete silence from the field causes incredible anxiety in the NOC. Even if a complex physical repair is taking hours and nothing has technically changed, give them a brief, proactive update every 15 minutes. It lets them manage the broader network traffic and handle customer expectations accurately on their end. But here is the ultimate golden rule of NOC relations. Never argue in the chat or over the radio. In the heat of a major service outage, the NOC's instruction is law. Even if you completely disagree with their troubleshooting steps, you execute the command in the moment. You can always file your concerns and document your perspective for the post-incident review later. But when the network is bleeding, you follow commands. So what does this all mean for you? When the fiber is cut, the customer is furious, and the pressure is at its absolute peak. How are you going to act? Are you going to be the rogue variable, acting on ego, making promises you can't keep and bringing the network down? Or are you going to apply this playbook, communicate with precision, and be the disciplined professional who keeps everything alive? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.